Okay, I'm going to do this video in response to a request made in the comment section under my videos. Somebody wanted to know about an herb called milk thistle. Milk thistle is actually a pretty damn good herb, if I say so myself. It has a lot of uses, which I'm going to talk about in this video. The active ingredients in milk thistle are a group of plant compounds collectively known as silymarin. Even though silymarin is usually mentioned in a singular way, meaning one substance, it actually is composed of three different substances, with the most powerful one being one called silybarin. That's the most powerful. They're flavonoids, and they have some really unique properties. The milk thistle extract has a high amount of silymarin. It's between 65 and 80% silymarin. As a matter of fact, as I will say later, I'll repeat it later, when you purchase a milk thistle supplement, you want to make sure you get one that it's standardized for at least 80% silymarin. Otherwise, it's a cheap product and you shouldn't use it. Doesn't have it because silymarin is the active ingredient. The silymarin has been concentrated from the milk thistle plant in supplements. Silymarin is found in the entire plant, but is concentrated in the fruit and seeds part. Silymarin acts as an antioxidant by reducing free radical production. Free radicals, again, are unpaired electrons produced in the course of oxygen metabolism. Free radicals tend to pair with stable electrons, which are paired, and messes up their function. This can have a broad range of pathologies in the body, including a disruption of cellular membranes. So one of the things silymarin does is it helps to reduce free radical production. It also it reduces the peroxidation or the addition of oxygen to lipids, fats, which makes them rancid. It also has anti-fibrotic property. In other words, it prevents scar tissue and fibrotic tissue, which is dead tissue, from forming. And it also may act as a blockade to toxins by inhibiting the binding of toxins to liver cell membrane receptors. And that's important for people that use, for example, oral anabolic steroids and other drugs, including non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen. A lot of this stuff can cause liver damage by binding to liver cells, and milk thistle will prevent that. It will prevent the accumulation of these toxic liver substances. In animals, silymarin reduces liver injury caused by acetoaminophen, or also known as Tylenol, carbon tetrachloride, radiation, iron overload, phenylhydrazine, alcohol, cold ischemia, in other words, extreme cold, and the Amanita phalloides. What is Amanita phalloides? That's also known as the death cap mushroom. When you consume this particular mushroom, it completely knocks out the glutathione in your liver, and as such, it can cause liver failure. The usual treatment, if they get you in time before it kills you, is to give you an IV of L-acetylcysteine, which will immediately restore the glutathione function of the liver and save your life. NAC, it's also called, available in supplement form. Milk thistle is best known as a liver protectant. As I said, alcoholic liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver, hepatitis, and even cancer. All of these are milk thistle offers protection against. One study also found that it might slightly extend the life expectancy of people with cirrhosis of the liver due to alcoholic liver disease. A slight increase in life expectancy, doesn't mean that it's going to completely cure it, but it may add a little bit of a couple of years. One study found that milk thistle silymarin minimally reduced, but without clinical relevance, the serum levels of ALT and AST. These are liver enzymes that, when elevated, suggest liver inflammation. By the way, these enzymes are also elevated when you take oral anabolic steroids, because oral anabolic steroids do increase liver inflammation. In fact, milk thistle may be useful for those who ingest oral anabolic steroids, because milk thistle will help to maintain glutathione levels in the liver needed to help to detoxify the oral steroids. A 2003 study published in a Serbian medical journal found that providing rats with the anabolic steroid Dianabol caused liver damage. But when the milk thistle was also supplied to the rats, the damage was minimized. So this particular animal study showed that milk thistle seemed to help protect the rats from liver damage that would be incurred by using anabolic steroids, because the rats that weren't given milk thistle but were given the animal all showed liver damage. One isolated cell study showed that milk thistle may block androgen receptors. Now, since testosterone and anabolic steroids work by interacting with androgen receptors, it sounds bad. It sounds like, wait a minute, why would I take a supplement that blocks androgen receptors? Well, this was an in vitro isolated cell study, and there's no indication. It was actually isolated prostate cancer cells. So, in other words, in a way, it was good because it prevented androgens like testosterone from stimulating existing prostate cancer, which would mean that milk thistle helps protect against prostate cancer. But because it was an in vitro isolated cell study, there's no indication that milk thistle will do this in an intact human body, which is good news, because there's no proof that ingesting milk thistle will in any way interfere with testosterone therapy or using anabolic steroids. Countless bodybuilders have taken milk thistle with these drugs and have had no negative effect whatsoever, despite what you might read on some silly websites that warn against using milk thistle. Absolute garbage. One isolated, I already talked about that. Silymarin undergoes enterohepatic recirculation, which that means is that the silymarin is recirculated in the liver. It's not broken down, it's recirculated, and that results in higher concentration in the liver cells than in the blood serum. This is why milk thistle is often considered a liver-specific herb, because it concentrates and exerts a lot of its activity in the liver in a protective sense. Milk thistle can also help protect brain health. In test tube and animal studies, remember, this is test tube and animal studies, not human studies. It's important because human studies are needed to confirm these. In other words, what works in a test tube, what works in animal studies, as I've said in past videos, may not necessarily work in an attacked human body. However, in test tube and animal studies, silymarin has been shown to prevent oxidative damage to brain cells, which could help prevent mental decline. It may also reduce amyloid plaques that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is characterized by the buildup of abnormal proteins in the brain. One of them is called beta amyloid, the other one's called tau. And silymarin may help prevent the buildup of amyloid. In that sense, it might I say, because there's no human evidence, might help protect against the onset of Alzheimer's disease, the most terrible disease of all. A number of studies have suggested that silymarin is an anti-inflammatory. It regulates inflammatory mediators such as tumor necrosis factor 3, tumor necrosis alpha, nitric oxide, interleukin 6, and interleukin 1 receptor antagonist. Silymarin also increases lymphocyte proliferation, that's white blood cells, interferon gamma, which is a protein associated with immune response, interleukin 4 and interleukin 10 cytokines, which are chemicals produced by the immune system, which help protect against disease in a dose-dependent manner. In other words, the more silymarin you ingest, the more these things are activated. Taken together, these effects suggest a possible role in preventing or treating infectious disease. Milk thistle has been shown in experimental test tube and animal studies to stimulate bone mineralization and potentially be protective against bone loss. In that sense, it could be useful for women who have a greater tendency to get osteoporosis, which is a bone thinning disease that begins at age 30, and it becomes more apparent by the time women reach, let's say, 50, 60 years old after menopause. It's a very, it can cause bones to spontaneously fracture, very bad. Also involved in osteoporosis are estrogen and also calcium and weight-bearing exercise. But you can add milk thistle to the list. It might also help prevent osteoporosis because it increases the entry of minerals such as calcium and phosphorus into bone. Some animal studies have shown that milk thistle could be used in reducing the side effects of cancer treatments. Normally, you got to be careful when you take antioxidants with chemotherapy, because some of the chemotherapy drugs work by inducing free radicals locally in a tumor, which kills the tumor. And if you take in antioxidants, you will neutralize those free radicals, and you basically neutralize the chemotherapy effect. But apparently, milk thistle doesn't do that. Milk thistle boosts milk production, like in lactating women, by promoting prolactin. Prolactin is a hormone released from the pituitary gland that stimulates milk production. This, however, would not be a good effect in men, since higher prolactin levels in men are associated with impotence. Again, there's no evidence, I hasten to add, there's no evidence that ingesting milk thistle at therapeutic dosages in any way will cause an excessive release of prolactin in men, so don't worry about it. One study of 56 people found that people with acne who took 210 milligrams of silymarin per day for 8 weeks experienced a 53% decrease in acne lesions. Acne is a common side effect of using anabolic steroids. They get the acne on the face, particularly around the upper back. In fact, you can almost tell a guy taking a lot of steroids, because about at least half of them will get this kind of weird pattern of acne, really bad acne, what they call cystic acne, all along their upper back. It's usually a good indication of high-dose steroid uses, but you don't see it as much anymore as you did years ago, for who knows why. One of the compounds in milk thistle may work similarly to some diabetic medications by helping improve insulin sensitivity and decrease blood sugar. A substance from milk thistle has been shown to possess peroxisome proliferator activator receptor gamma, how's that for a mouthful, agonist properties. PPAR gamma is the molecular target of certain diabetic drugs, which are used clinically as insulin sensitizers to lower blood glucose levels in patients with type 2 diabetes. However, the difference between milk thistle and these drugs is that milk thistle has no side effects. These drugs could have a lot of side effects, including increase the risk for the most deadly type of cancer, which is pancreatic cancer. I'm not saying that you could substitute milk thistle for these drugs. I won't go that far because there hasn't been human studies that compare milk thistle with these drugs. All they know is that milk thistle has a similar mechanism to these diabetes drugs. A recent review and analysis found that people routinely taking silymarin experienced a significant reduction in their fasting blood sugar levels and hemoglobin A1C, a measure of blood glucose control. There are two ways to check blood glucose. One is through a lab test. You can also use a glucometer, which I use in the morning. Pricks your finger a little bit, and you put the blood on a little special strip. It'll tell you your blood glucose level. But to check long-term glucose control, you get a test for hemoglobin A1C, which tests the sugar content of red blood cells, and it's a good indication of how your body is handling sugar. If it's below, I think it's 6.5. If it's above 6.5%, that's a good indication that you have full-blown type 2 diabetes. Concerning safety, how safe is milk thistle? All milk thistle is safe. Studies where high doses were used for long periods, only about 1% of the people experienced side effects. Side effects of milk thistle are generally related to gut disturbances such as diarrhea, nausea, bloating. Some people get headaches. Very rare. Very rare. I've used milk thistle. I've known a lot of people have. Nobody ever experienced any of these side effects. I have a funny feeling these side effects are idiosyncratic, meaning that they only occur in people who have a strong sensitivity to silymarin. By the way, because silymarin can lower blood glucose, if you are a diabetic and you're taking diabetes medications, you've got to be a little careful with the silymarin because they'll have an added effect of lowering blood glucose. You might slip into hypoglycemia, so you got to be careful of that. How much milk thistle should you use? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Anyway, the standard dose for milk thistle is depending on where you read. I mean, every site or every book lists a different standard dose, but generally speaking, it's 200 milligrams ingested 2 to 3 times daily. Your body absorbs milk thistle better if the extract is bound with phosphatidylcholine. Another simple term for phosphatidylcholine is lecithin. Lecithin, they have supplements of milk thistle where it's complex with phosphatidylcholine, I think they call it liposomal milk thistle. They're a little bit more expensive than the normal kind, but the best milk thistle supplement to get is a milk thistle that's complex with phosphatidylcholine and also contains at least 80% silymarin content. Those will be absorbed much greater. You get much greater benefit, even if it costs you a couple of bucks more. You're getting a lot more benefit from that type of dose supplement. And if you do use the milk thistle supplement that's complex with phosphatidylcholine, you only have to take half as much, so the cost comes about to the same. So instead of taking 600 milligrams a day of the regular milk thistle total, you would take maybe 150, 300, maybe 300, 200, 300 a day. That's all you need with the phosphatidylcholine form. And as I say, always make sure, very important, that the supplements, milk thistle supplements, are always standardized to contain at least 80% silymarin, because silymarin is what makes milk thistle what it is. Without enough silymarin, milk thistle is nothing. So again, 80% content, look for that. And that's about it for milk thistle. I think it's kind of iffy how much taking milk thistle will protect your liver if you take an oral anabolic steroids. But considering the mechanism, considering how the liver recirculates silymarin, and considering how silymarin kind of binds to liver cells or hepatocytes and prevents toxic substances, including steroids, from binding to the cells, I think it would be probably a good idea for anyone who uses oral anabolic steroids in any dosage to also supplement with, again, 200 milligrams 3 times a day of phosphatidylbased milk thistle supplement containing at least 80% silymarins. It'd be very prudent to do that. It'd probably be a good idea. Again, if you go crazy with the oral steroids and take 6 different kinds in high milligram amounts, silymarin is not going to protect you from liver problems if you go overboard, because you're overwhelming your liver defense system if you do something like that. I'll be talking about another supplement in a future video that also offers really good protective effects in the liver for those taking oral anabolic steroids. In fact, this particular supplement might actually completely protect against all anabolic steroid-induced liver problems. I'll talk about in the future video. But anyway, that's it for milk thistle. If you want to have the best and most in-depth information you'll find anywhere on nutrition, supplements, which ones work, which ones don't, fat loss techniques that really work, anti-aging research you can use today to make you look younger and feel better and have more energy, women's health and fitness, supplements, I think I said supplements, ergogenic aids, exercise science, what else? Just about dozens of topics covered. What makes Applied Metabolics different than other digital publications is while some of them cover nutrition, some cover exercise science, I cover everything. I cover a great variety of subjects, 40 to 50 pages every month, no advertisements. I'm not trying to push any food supplements or any products. I'm just trying to give you information at a very reasonable price. The price of the monthly cost of Applied Metabolics is 6 times less than what you would pay for if you had a subscription to a daily newspaper, and costs less than if you had 2 cups of coffee at what's the name of, one of those coffee shops. I can't even remember the name of it because I don't go to them. But anyway, so subscribe today, www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where every day I post new information on nutrition, exercise science, medicine, and general health. Very interesting stuff every single day. You'll be up to date on everything. Of course, you're welcome as a subscriber to ask me questions on my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, or you could ask me questions through the email portal I have on my Applied Metabolics website. However, that's only for current subscribers. It's not. I don't answer unsolicited questions. You're welcome to leave questions under or comments under these videos. I can't guarantee I will answer them. It all depends on how much time I have. Most of the time I don't have time to answer questions left under the videos, but you might get lucky. I might answer them. And of course, you're welcome to leave suggestions for future videos. This video was also based on a suggestion that somebody left in the comment section. So I am open to suggestions for new videos. So that's about it. If you want to have Well, where's my Sillamären dog, Bruno? He's around here somewhere. Actually, he takes a supplement that does contain milk thistle. It's a liver protector supplement. It's a supplement I give to him that's a kidney and liver protectant. And among the ingredients is Sillamären. So my dog does take Sillamären. And it's good for him for the reasons I said in this video. I mean, if it does nothing more than prevent cancer, it's worth it, because I don't know if you people know, whereas cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of humans, the #1 killer of dogs is cancer. So you want to do everything you can to help prevent cancer in dogs. And that usually involves good nutrition first and foremost. So if you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt the dog. And do me a favor, don't try to skip over the puppies, because they're going to be adopted in 2 seconds. Go for the older dogs. I'm telling you, I've had most of my dogs have been older dogs. My dog Bruno is about 15 years old, and believe me, they're the most loyal, loving dogs. They know that you saved them. They appreciate you. I mean, as I said in past videos, everybody in your life could abandon you. I mean, you know the old saying, when you're down and out, nobody wants to know you. Well, it's true. That's a fact of life. You know, your wife could divorce you, your girlfriend could leave you for somebody else, but the one thing that will always remain loyal to you, and I don't like to call it a thing, but the one creature, the one being that will always be loyal to you is your dog. He will accept you under any and all conditions, no matter who you are or what you are. Your dog will always love you. There's no unconditional love like a dog, except possibly your parents, particularly your mother, although I've seen many, many cases where mothers and children hated each other, so even that's not unconditional. But your dog always is. Take care. Thank you for listening.